We had been living on the edge of China for almost 3 years and yet had never been to Beijing. So we took advantage of a long weekend in February to correct that oversight. We were generously hosted by Ottawa pals Barb and Brian Foley, who work at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing. And we were joined by our eldest, Nat, who came up from Bangkok to take an IB-related teaching course. Winter in Beijing is a little like winter in Toronto, so we had our first experience of snow in 3 years. Despite the chill, we ventured out to the hutongs of China, alleyway neighborhoods, where bicycle rickshaws are popular modes of transportation. Here are Maureen and Barb all bundled up for their tour. The rickshaw drivers take visitors through heritage neighborhoods where restaurants, bars, and shops line the shores of man-made lakes. Huhai Lake is one of 3 man-made lakes in the center of Beijing that invite walking and exploring. From one shore you can see the centuries-old drum tower, a Beijing landmark.
Massage bars.
At night, the lakes turn into a warren of funky cabarets and bars. Nat and I took some time to explore.
Add some spice to the Beijing nightlife. It's worked. It's very spicy. Yeah.
Barb also took us to the Forbidden City, a must for any tourist. The former palace of the emperor, his wives, and concubines, the Forbidden City is dominated by a succession of gates or large pavilions, with broad plazas running from the south to the north of the vast walled compound. In our Canada Red TIS jackets, we stood out from the more soberly dressed Chinese tourists. To each side of the central portion of the Forbidden City are warren-like living quarters where courtiers and concubines slept, ate, and, well, courtiered and concubined. In one square we were surprised to find this unfinished Western-style building of iron and concrete, surrounded by a moat. The People's Liberation Army is in evidence even here, but the Forbidden City garrison seems a little more playful than what we're used to. Coming out of the Forbidden City, we crossed under 6 lanes of traffic to Tiananmen Square. Everyone entering the square has to go through a security check, which is much more scrupulous if you're not a Westerner. Not much to see on the other side, but other tourists. We also took in the Lama Temple, so named because its architecture has a Tibetan influence. And I spent some time at the remarkable Temple of Heaven, a collection of majestic Taoist buildings where emperors used to pray for bountiful harvests. You can't go to Beijing without a side trip to the Great Wall, which stretches more than 8,000 kilometers to protect the northern borders of China. We went to the Battling section 80 kilometers northwest of Beijing, which is, not surprisingly, the most visited section of the wall. Even in February, it is crawling with tourists who have to scramble up near vertical walkways. But an even bigger attraction for the Chinese visitors was a tall Canadian and his mother. Nat and Maureen posed for picture after picture. Later, our driver took us to a newly opened section of the wall, accessible only by rough roads through hardscrabble farms. The tour buses haven't found it yet, and it was all but deserted. We were able to climb to a guard tower and admire both its rough architecture and the uncluttered view. Down at the bottom, we had a chance to see how the Silk Road traders used to travel.
No name?
No name.
Cindy. I'm going to call him Cindy. No, not Cindy. That would be
Well,
good.
here, Mom.
How about Lulu? Hello, Lulu. Hello, Lulu. Lulu. Girl or boy? Girl or boy?
这是公的字母，它这个 boy。
Boy.
You want me to go up on it? Okay, here.
Louis.
I'm going to go up on that.
Louis.
Okay.
120.
Okay. 120?
120.
What?
How much to go up?
30.
30.
Between the humps. My goodness. Here?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Oh my goodness, let me put on my gloves.
What this way?
Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm getting. Stop tapping.
Do you feel highs?
What is this? Right in between? Oh my goodness.
There'd be no room for me.
Oh my goodness.
Is it tight?
Well, it's, yeah. You certainly could, yeah, make me look cool here.
Yeah. You want the hat?
I'm afraid there's no way to make you look cool.
Louis!
I've got a very hairy
Get
midsection.
Louis to face this way. Louis! Over.
Inevitably, we had to stop somewhere where we might be tempted to spend money. In this case, it was a jade carving warehouse. The demonstrations, admittedly, were interesting.
Well, the thing is, if you can get something like that, to have a little tiny one, it meets the purpose.
We had a couple of marvelous culinary experiences in Beijing. Our first night, Barb and Brian took us down a dubious-looking Hutong alley to Li Chun, renowned for its roast duck, which the rest of the world calls Peking duck. The restaurant is a rough conversion of a traditional Hutong residence, and the family that once lived there still runs the place. The ducks are roasted over a wood fire in a brick oven to crispy perfection, and we got to witness the process.
What is fruit wood? Fruit wood. Yeah.
So nice.
Beautiful. Okay, I want a picture with the duck. Here's me and the duck. Okay. Daffy and me.
The bird is displayed before being carved and served with soft pancakes and various side dishes. Result is absolutely delicious. We made sure to thank the owner before we left. The next night we went to Pure Lotus, a sumptuous vegetarian restaurant with Tibetan trappings. We had reserved one of the tented tables for our dinner, and we dined like Asian potentates amid brocaded silk tapestries. The food was exquisite. Or at the very least, interesting, like this smoking dessert that may have been lychee nuts or jackfruit. We're still guessing.
Tastes a little coconut. Tastes a little woody, like wood.
Jackfruit?
It took us 3 years to get to the seat of imperial power in China, but the city was well worth waiting for.